Good afternoon.
Hello. Hey.
How you guys doing?
Great. How are you?
All right. I think I need to take an afternoon nap. Oh, geez. As soon as we finish with this meeting, I have to do laundry. Otherwise, my wife's going to take away my car keys.
Hi, this is Gabriella.
Hey, Gabriella.
Courtney's name though.
Yeah.
Let me log back on from my own account.
So how come it says we have six participants? Have you noticed that?
Oh, yeah. Well, Jerry is out there and so is Steve Bader.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I guess he.
Bader's in a different.
There they come, yeah.
Got it. Hi, Courtney. Hi, Jerry.
Hi.
Hi, Jerry.
Hi, Emerson.
Jerry, are you aware that Ed Johnson retired?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Hi, Lorna.
Hi.
Hi, Lorna. How you doing?
Pretty good. I'm recovering from hip replacement surgery, so
Ooh.
yeah. If I have to stand up periodically, you know why.
That happens to everybody.
Yeah.
Having to stand up, so
Oh.
we may all have to do that at some point.
Let's see, who are we? We're just missing Laura, correct? There she is.
Yep.
Okay, so we've got Laura, and then
Hi,
we can go ahead and start this meeting. I think we're at 101, so that's fine. I want to welcome everybody to this meeting today because I am really looking forward to a very productive conversation. You know, we're at a stage now where our communication efforts are really, really important moving forward. And I'm hoping that we can just look forward and not look backward. We have a contract with Webster, and we need to work so that we get some mutually agreeable work on our part. And that's what I'm looking for with today's conversation, that each of us, both the city and Webster, get what they need. To guide us through today, I thought of a couple of things. First of all, Lorna sent us 3 documents, and that provides a good basis for us for today's agenda. The first document, and if you looked at what Joanne just sent us, that's been fairly accomplished. That document, I see that staff and Courtney had a lot of conversation about the sources of information, and if you look at that, the first page or the Friday page, we've used that, we've used the website, all those things have been used. So that document has been a fairly valuable one. But the second document starts us out getting into the needs of and the opportunities that we have going forward. And I'm going to say that I think our immediate need is to establish a really strong base for the city now to receive input and to get updated information about the project. I think about this in two stages. The first stage has been the developer, all of the public engagement has gone to the developer, the comments have gone to the developer. Next Thursday night, they're going to present whatever they're going to present to us. That they're giving me an opportunity to talk about how we need now for the city for people to kind of respond and engage better with the city. And that's where we are. I think that's what the need is. We have lots of opportunities to do that now, to start to say, we need the community now to begin to respond to the city about what you feel about various aspects of the project. Here's the calendar going forward. Here's the information that will help to inform you. And I'm going to turn this over to Joanne because I think that's where she wants to talk about forming that strong base that we need to come out of with today's meeting.
What I would like to do is show you what we've done. So we, staff and I did a page to share all of the information that we had not yet shared from Vector. And so I'd like to show you what that looks like and go through a few pages. Almost everything is Vector, but I will share with you those items that we created separately and explain to you why we did them separately. So just give me a minute, I'll share my screen. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so this shows the redevelopment project. It shows the picture that was shared with us. On the right-hand side, you'll see all of the quick links. We attempted to follow those the information on regarding the project. So the project page, this has to do with the September 9th email. One of the things that we did not do was with the where it says add 714 town hall presentation and recording. We already had that, so in just a different space. So what we did is we linked it to the one page instead of doing it this way because we thought it might work just a little bit better for us. Otherwise, if you just scroll down, this information is the same. Then on the leave the comment, we added more than what was provided to us. So let me show you what that looks like. So for us, we added certain things like who the person is. So whether they're a Webster Groves resident, a business owner, employee, so on and so forth on here on the left. And then on the right-hand side, we also wanted to know how did they hear about the project. And then after that, we left a section for I have a question, I have a comment. On those, it's 8 lines and it allows for about 650 characters. And then we went further and said, who do they want to share the information with? So we allowed them the option to check that information and then to provide their email address. So that's
Great.
that.
That looks good. I have a comment, or do you want me to wait till you're done?
You could either give your comment now or just let me finish because I'm almost done.
All right, finish.
Okay. So then following, you will see a lot of Q&A. And I believe this is, and I can clarify this in a little bit with everyone from Vector, but on one of the items it says create project FAQ, and I think this is what it is, but I just wanted to confirm that we posted the right information that you wanted. So I have all of the what I believe is the Q&A all down below here. There are a few things that I needed to get some clarification on, but we can do that. And then there's one spot, it's further up, I got to find it, that I have a question about as well. Oh, right here, there's a piece, and I think it's just that you didn't get the information from SG Collaborative yet, and that's why we don't have the information. But right here where under latest information, register now, and it says insert information from SGC. We'll need to do that when we get the information. But otherwise, this is the information that we have. And of course, the other information that we had already posted. So this is just that information that I thought should be shared with you. So if there's
Right.
questions.
Yeah, looks good. I think it's important too that the folks on the call go through, if you haven't already, the FAQ information and make sure that that is well represented. Or if there's additional questions that you're getting from residents that we can populate in there as well. So that's kind of the initial brainstorming, but want to make sure that everybody on the call is comfortable with the responses.
And I'm not sure if everybody has reviewed the FAQs. I did have a question about one of those because I was just curious about the source, because some of it may be more of an opinion, and that's not a criticism. I'm just thinking that on a couple of them, it may be an opinion based on who the source is.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, one of them was, how has the COVID-19 economic downturn affected the timeline? And then there was another one, I don't remember which one it is right now.
Yeah, I'm guessing that because we don't know necessarily how it's affected the timeline, it's more just kind of a messaging.
Mm-hmm.
We can kind of guesstimate what it would be, but at least from what we could tell, the timeline, at least for the redevelopment process, is moving forward. How it would impact in terms of attracting like commercial tenants or things like that is unpredictable at this point. But the process should be moving forward. It seems to be at the normal pace. But again, I think it's important that this information should be vetted according to where we're at in the process right now.
Right. The only other one that I had the question out about is under the section that says, where is Webster Grove's redevelopment process entail? And it's the last sentence of that last paragraph. And I didn't know if we needed to modify this, because I'm going to have to look at the schedule. It says a draft redevelopment conceptual design will be reviewed and voted on by the mayor and city council by the end of 2020. And I don't know that. And on a side note, I know that Lorna had mentioned in her email that I had, well, I don't think she said I had, but there was an email that I had sent saying that we were going to get information regarding a calendar and such. And I apologize, but we have not received that yet. But we are supposed to get that from the attorney, Mark Graham, who's working with us. And we will, as soon as we get that, we will share that information with you.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the best thing to do is if these FAQ, a lot of them were written based on assumptions of where the timeline was going. If the timeline has changed, we should update. If there's uncertainty as to, because originally that was from my understanding, that was the goal, was to get the redevelopment plan in front of city council by the end of 2020. If it has been pushed back for some reason, whether it's developers' timeline or the city's, then we should definitely reflect that in the FAQ. And I'm not sure where everybody's landing at this point. Because I think originally this town hall was supposed to be to unveil the draft plan, which would allow some time for Webster Grove's residents and business owners to really go through the plan and provide community input leading up to any kind of planning commission review or city council vote. But I don't know, the way that it's being described right now is sort of more vague. So I don't know if we're at that point. So I don't know if the timeline's being pushed back because the development plan is not fully there. They wanted to add another layer of community input and further refine.
Okay.
So I think some of this may need to be adjusted accordingly if the timeline does not reflect it anymore.
That makes sense.
Great. Are there any other comments about this landing page?
Joanne, just one sort of technical thing.
Yes.
You leave comments and it says, who do you want your comments to be shared with? I'm assuming you can select more than one option there?
Yes.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Joanne, this page is not live, is it?
Yes, we made it live today.
Oh, okay. How can I find it?
So it's webstergroves.org/Webster redevelopment.
So I can't get it from our regular.
Yes, but I don't remember. I didn't ask Jennifer which link it is.
I think there's a link right on the front page of the website.
I
to
think
it.
you're right. I just didn't look.
I can't pull two
I mean,
things up at once.
I'm looking at I'm waiting for the slideshow to move along here.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
The
We don't
slide,
have, there's no slide. I mean, it'd be good if we had a slide there about this. That wasn't my comment, but
on the front page or
yeah,
here?
yeah. Front page.
Homepage, yeah.
On the home.
Oh, I
A
think
slide.
I think that gets changed fairly frequently across the top, and we can certainly make that happen.
And I can show you what else that we're working on. Let me just figure out how to get rid of this.
I also would announce in your upcoming Friday page that this page is now available on the website.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had a call from the Webster Kirkwood Times this morning, and we need to announce it through there too.
Can I make my comment about the form?
Yes.
I would like to know their address. I think it would just be helpful. It has email, but it doesn't have home address or resident, what they're referring to. And then kind of just a broader comment. I think it would be good also if we knew that in remarks of visitors that people noted their addresses, how they used to come up and say their name and their address, and we're not getting that information. So
Okay.
I think that would be good.
Sometimes that can be a barrier to participation for people. What about it? Would their zip code just be enough? Because we
used to do this, but remember Lyda Cruson got into so much trouble when she divulged people's addresses with their remarks of visitors. Do you remember that, Lorna?
Yeah, she shouldn't have done that. That was a colossal PR mistake.
Yes. So we quit reading them out.
Can we make it optional for the form? Because we know the people who live close are going to feel strongly about letting us know that they live close to the site. And so if it's optional, we're not making people as uncomfortable perhaps, but we're getting some information from those who want us to have that.
And it kind of also indicates whether we've given them information or not, like if they're in they were in the original door hanger territory, or if they're an owner on Pacific.
Okay, we can certainly do that.
Okay.
Joanne,
Now-
you want to continue?
Can I ask one
Sure.
process question with this? So when people send in their emails, do they go into a spreadsheet, or how can we see them so we know if we need to add an FAQ, how to respond, make some talking points, if we get several people saying or asking the same thing?
That's an excellent question. Staff and I were just talking about that this morning as far as who responds and how do we make sure that it's all communicated and this information is shared with everyone regarding the concerns and issues. We can put it as a city email with a separate, so that, for example, the deputy city clerk is it has it as a proxy email, and it goes to her, and then she forwards all those emails on a daily basis to a number of us. It's really what we decide today, how we'd like that communicated.
I think that if you check off that box that says public, that you are submitting something for the public, that can be put into a PDF and placed on the website so that everybody can see everybody else's remarks, if you want to do that.
So I know from when we did the Housing Town Hall survey that what Jen did for me when I was trying to tabulate some information from that was to put it all in an Excel file.
Yeah.
Rather than forwarding them one by one, could we figure out a time period that we can agree is fast enough and just take the block from, say, a period of 2 or 3 days and send those in one clump? I mean, I know that all of us want to see them. I don't know if we all need to see them as rapidly as some others. I guess that's what I wonder about.
Joanne, can you all figure that out?
Yes, we'll figure it out. And I'll probably have a few of my staff members manage this so that it's done in a very timely basis in case one is on vacation or something like that.
To help with your staff members, I suggest you put an automatic response that says, thank you for your comment or question, and we will get back to you within 2 business days or whatever is convenient for your staff. That's not
Thank
a
you.
burden.
I noticed that one of the options was to post the comment publicly.
Mhm.
Is that,
You cut out, Courtney.
Yeah. We've lost you, Courtney. Whoa.
Where did she go?
neutral positive comments may not check it?
Courtney, you need to repeat that again because you cut out.
Oh, sorry. I'm not sure why. On the website in the forum, there was you could click to have your comment posted publicly on the website. The only concern I have about that is creating sort of a bias of information, because only the people that'll have the very strongest opinions will choose to have their comment put forward publicly, versus more neutral.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I could be wrong about that, but if you don't have like a consistent, I don't know if you've had examples of other initiatives or projects where you've had public comments posted so that everyone could read them. So it's an expectation, but that'd be my concern, is that you'd end up with a lot of very strongly negative comments that are willing to post, and anyone who comes to that site is going to see that, okay, and may be influenced in their opinion of the project because of that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's something that you've consistently done with other projects, I would leave it. Otherwise, I would think about whether or not we want to have that publicly out there.
Good.
I have no issue with removing it if that's what the group would like.
I do agree with that comment, and if I'm on the fence and I start reading a lot of negative comments, I'm bound to go in that direction too.
It could also be incorrect comments.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's a good suggestion to take it off. I'm fine with that. I mean, maybe there's another way we can vet the comments, or is that not right?
It's just hard to say, like, you could say, can we post your comment? But again, that makes it look like you're kind of manipulating it. I think it's really good the way it is now, that you're directing the comment. Would you like this to go to the mayor and city council? I think that's a smart way to do it.
Okay. Great. All right, Joanne, back to you.
So these are a couple of options we thought about also adding to the landing page. So this is just an illustration or design, or an image, I mean. This is the first one, this is the second one, and this is the third. Of course, where it says upcoming events, we would put a calendar of events as soon as we have them on either of these pages, if any of those are preferred. And I don't need I don't need an option right now. It's just something that I wanted to show you that we were working on.
I like the change in a little bit of a change in a graphic design. I think it adds freshness to it. It brings some, statement that this is different. The city is not just mimicking what the developer is doing, and something different here I think benefits us. It also gives us something to talk about, or say, come and look at our new page, new design. Courtney, I don't know what you guys think.
I agree with you. That should look different from SG Collaborative.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Thank you.
So we will work on putting something in play very quickly on that, to add something different to that page. And that's actually all I have to share. My goal, and I don't know if this, I'm hoping it's the goal of the rest of our group. I just had a couple of questions on action items and some of the items that Lorna had sent.
Go ahead.
So on the, I think where we are now, and I'm looking at the August 28th memo. And on it, there's one item where it says boost FAQ. It's the fifth item down. I just want to know, how do you do that? That's my only question.
I would take the graphic that you're creating for the front page and create a version that fits within Facebook specs, and then post it and use the same kind of, typography and fonts and everything, and just say like, FAQ now available on, at this website. And, and kind of just do like a boosted post on Facebook that will reach the zip codes within Webster Groves,
Okay,
but then draws people to the site to look out, like, and talk about what is going on with the old Webster redevelopment project. Like, what is, will there
Explain
be
boosted, Courtney.
Oh, that's where you pay additional money to Facebook. You post on Facebook and then pay additional money, and it will then push it in front of people on their feeds.
So when you say we create this version, it's basically the same information that we have on the website. We just move it over to Facebook and then do the boost.
Yeah, like a Facebook post. So we can send you the actual language for it. But if you're working on the graphic design for it, then we can send you the specs for an ideal ad size. Yeah. But pretty much, usually it's $50 to $100. It's pretty reasonably priced. It's very effective. And it gets the conversation rolling, and it drives people to the website. So, and it gives you a chance to preview the new kind of branding and look of that. Okay. But I think based on what we're seeing from a lot of the comments from residents, is there's still a lot of, obviously everyone's kind of creating in their head what is going on, because there's, they're talking about how many stories, and from what I've seen, there's nothing that's that concrete in any of the information that's coming from SG Collaborative, but people are just, the rumor mill's going wild. So I think that sort of,
yeah, go ahead. No, it's just that in their last town hall meeting, they had those clouds, clumps, and they were all these large apartment buildings. That's where that's coming from.
Okay. So they're sort of extrapolating from what they were talking about. Mm-hmm. So I think the FAQ is designed to sort of hit some of those questions. And so now that we have some idea of what the public are saying, especially public meetings. So we know we can address some of this, and especially if we know what's coming in the 24th, because if we can kind of get ahead of some of these questions that might come up from the 24th, because I don't know yet to the degree to which they're going to unveil concepts that could suggest like apartment buildings. Mm-hmm. If there's anything that even sniffs of apartment buildings, we need to be very prepared for that.
Yes, we do.
Or there's any hint that there could be families that would affect the school district, mm-hmm. Anything like that. So, because immediately people are going to go towards that. They're going to want to know about housing. They're going to want to know about density. They're going to want to know about the impacts in the school district, since you're already dealing with some overcrowding issues. Likely that whole sort of character of the neighborhood kind of feeling, which you can get, sometimes it can be couching, like thinly veiled kind of racist comments can be couched into that kind of thing. So we need to, ideally, if we have an idea of what's going to be presented the 24th, we can jump ahead of that a little bit to have an idea of like, what is the zoning in this area? What is likely to be, what's the process for that? Because I think right now people assume that it's just the developer says this is what we're going to do, and the city is helpless in terms of what can happen there. And there is, I assume there's specific zoning ordinance, like regulations in terms of height, or according to story and different types of density. We need to know that and anticipate, like, what are we up against? If SG Collaborative is not going to show anything that looks that dense, we don't necessarily have to get into the zoning. because it's a moot point. But if they're going to show anything that looks moderately dense, we're going to need to have a clear idea of whether or not they have to apply for a zoning change.
Oh,
And that's where we need to explain,
Yeah.
like, what is the current zoning and what are they going to have to do? And we have to sign off on it. So it's not just a here you go, sure, we'll take that. Let's do it, you know? But the city has like real power to intervene within this plan based on its, you know, zoning and other types of you know, processes, tax incentives and things like that. So I think that's where we want to kind of anticipate.
and maybe you can help me a little bit with the language, because what we really want to do on Thursday evening is say that there are going to be a whole lot of public hearings. That's where that calendar that we're going to eventually comes in, so that they understand that there are going to be a number of public hearings around zoning, because you know, this requires all sorts of zoning changes. There will be public hearings around financial incentives, all of those sorts of things. And we need to say that, and say that the calendar for all of these is on the website.
Yeah, absolutely. So really the most important pieces right now to be able to create this very robust communication platform is the city's timeline, according to what you anticipate you're going to have to do in terms of public hearings and different like developer requests and the developer agreement and zoning changes and all those, the commission reviews, and then whatever they're going to drop in people's laps on the 24th.
Okay.
So like, we should be absolutely prepared. Like, here's what you can expect from this, just in case that 24th is like enough of a plan that people will be like, oh, I can see this now. We want to have all that ready to go.
Joanne, there was a request about us seeing this in advance. Have you gotten any response to that request?
I've been told that we will, but I have not gotten the details yet. But I have spoken with Larry Chapman. I just spoke with him this morning.
And will they expect Courtney to be with us on that? I mean, I think it probably saves the middle person if someone from Vector can be a part of that conversation as well.
I didn't share that, but I'm pretty certain that they're understanding of that, because I believe Neil has already communicated that.
All right, thank you.
And that's another piece of advice I think we need from the UPR folks, is it makes me nervous if we see this ahead of time, but if we make any comments, then when this is presented, the developer has the ability to say, well, the city council has seen this and here's what they've said about it. And that makes me nervous, because it almost says, hey, the city council has almost approved what we're presenting tonight, rather than us having the ability just to see it and then react.
Well, I'm fine either seeing the information ahead of time, or even a detailed summary just sent to, you know, Lauren and I is fine. Like, we don't have to create a situation where you feel like you are stretching the truth or put in a bad position. We just want to be able to anticipate, like, you know, are we going to see apartment buildings? You know, are we going to see, you know, like one of the comments talks about all the green space that's in that area right now. Like, how much of that is going to be built in or taken away? You know, things like that we can just kind of get an eye on, so that we're thinking ahead on that.
But I think we need to create, if you want us to, Mayor and the rest of the committee, is to create a couple of talking points that just says, you know, this is not the end.
Right.
Yes, that's exactly it. That this is not the end, and that's why I'm a little nervous about having any interaction with them before they come out on Thursday with this plan. I don't want any of them to say, because I've been accused already of being in favor of 8-story apartment buildings. Where'd that come from?
I think we need to be prepared.
Yes.
Right.
Prepared, exactly, but not
but
commented.
With a preview. I think we can all be closed with what we see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that they could give a preview of the content without actually showing you the content.
That's true.
Well, Mayor, those statements will help you in your opening remarks to
Yeah.
prepare the community.
Yeah.
Say,
Well,
hey, this is not approved. This is just their concepts. Da.
Yeah.
And part of
Yeah,
the-
we have to, yeah,
I'm
go
sorry.
ahead, Courtney.
as part of the communications plan, we want to have letters that each of you can send out to your constituents as well on the council that basically says, here's what, you know, ideally we could send it out ahead of time and to let people know what's going on. But if we can't get the information quick enough, it could be immediately after. But basically says, here's what was presented. Here's what's going to go on from the city side. Here's our timeline. Here's our public hearings. Here's the process. Here's what you can expect. Here's where you can get involved. And blast that out to as many of your constituents as possible. And if they come to you with questions, you have the talking points, you have the words to provide back to them. Because we, like, as the mayor said, we want to continue to hit home, like, this is not a rubber stamp deal. This involves a lot of community input. There's many opportunities to intervene. Many decisions still have to be made. You know, let's talk about this. So I think that as long as we have an idea of what the city's process is and when there's a timeline, like you said, the timeline, because you'll know, at least at this point, I assume you have a general idea of what is going to be required for the developer agreement in terms of commissions and planning and some zoning changes. That'll help us anticipate. Maybe not, maybe Laura's laughing, so maybe.
No, I think all we're gonna get is kind of here's a few things that we need to, we're
Didn't
We're
Mark,
in it.
really starting at ground zero.
I think Mark Grimm said he would let us know a little bit, didn't he?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, that's where that calendar.
About the redevelopment agreement and the timeline, and so.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess we could look ahead and say, okay, they're likely going to ask for a zoning change. When would that be? You know, like when or what committee handles that? You know, they have to go in front of the planning commission. When, you know, is it, what step in the process could that be? Like, work backwards from a developer agreement and decide where are each of these public hearing points likely to happen. We don't have to have dates necessarily, but we should at least know, like, how many committees do they have to go in front of? Because that's how many public hearings we'll essentially have.
And that's what I think, Joanne, I think that's what we're getting, right?
So Mara and I have been working with Neil and Mark Graham on that because it also depends on what they ask for. So if they're asking for particular zoning changes, we have to go one route versus another route. Because some things can be implemented right away, while others, if they continue modifying their plan, we don't want to do anything until it's more ironed out and, of course, approved.
I think we should just put both.
Yeah.
And just say, like, if necessary, may also be here.
Mhm.
Because the more opportunities we give the public that we say that there's opportunities to provide feedback, the better. Because right now the feedback, I mean, what people are seeing are just like, you know, they're labels on a map essentially. You know, it's still very rough cut. So, but as it becomes more concrete and people start seeing renderings and things like that, that's where people are going to be really looking to the city for leadership and direction as to where where you're able to intercept in the process.
You know,
Those examples, those examples that they gave at the last one of other projects they did in other states, or that's what people looked at and said, oh, this is what it's going to look like. And it wasn't.
No.
So
That's the problem with showing examples. Like, most people aren't that abstract about, you know, they're gonna glom onto that because that's an example of what they've done. And I'm sure it was denser than what Webster Gross is likely to be.
Is it possible for us to, I don't know exactly when we would do this, but is it possible for us to generate enthusiasm about this, about the redevelopment beyond written benefits? I'm just trying to think of a way to how to garner enthusiasm from the city rather than reacting to negative comments or trying to get in front of negative comments, but let's take it a step farther and be excited about it. Or, and I know we need to wait to see what's coming, but it seems like that would be, try to keep it positive.
Yeah, and I think a really good,
I don't know what everybody else thinks, but.
I think a really good platform for that is to have a consistent message of talking points that each of you have and that you've decided are the benefits of this particular plan. Some of it might be very specific, but we found, in Clayton, we found that's really what really helped, was that if the council is working from a similar playbook in terms of benefits, you're hearing the same message over and over.
Right.
So it might be that there's anticipated tax benefits. Are there first redevelopment in Webster Groves in however many years? Opportunity to, sort of reimagine what an area is, in terms of bringing people together, community space, things like that. So I think that's one thing that we can all brainstorm is like, what are the benefits here? Besides just the opportunity to redevelop an area that could use some sprucing up, what are the strong benefits that you feel the public needs to know about here? And make sure that those are built into your communications pretty much from the start.
Yep.
I'm not so sure that degree of enthusiasm is here quite yet. I think everybody's just a little bit nervous about this project.
But the main thing is that we all are consistent with our answers, that I'm not saying one thing and Laura is not saying another, And as those questions come up that we feel that are important in nature, we add that to our list. And everybody is just talking the same talk.
It's all speculation, and in the moment that a rendering shows up, it's done. Like the whole conversation switches, and everything that's happened before it, people just forget, and it's all about that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Laura, you keep trying to speak.
Oh,
well,
sorry, Laura.
I want to go back a little ways to when we were talking about the timeline for public hearings. One of the things that people have said, I've heard it a couple of times, is it is unfair or disingenuous of us to try and do this during the pandemic because people can't engage in the same way. I know we just got it at our meeting on Tuesday that staff has worked really hard to come up with a more accessible public hearing process. So I think it's important that at some point we highlight that as well. Not only is this available, but we've worked on making it a better model for you to actually participate.
Thank you. Good comment.
Yeah.
So
they do that. We do that process already in ARB, where the homeowners get to come on Zoom and speak their concerns.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Laura, I think you're right, because we can also pose that as something that we realize we needed to do a better job with, and so we've created this new method of doing public hearings. So good.
That reminds me, I forgot to mention one thing. So we are also going to put a comment, and I would like if someone could help me with a message, maybe Courtney can help me with a message, for if someone wants to call us instead and give us a phone call and leave a message. I'd like just a little bit of verbiage on there, and we have a separate phone line that we're going to use just for that as well.
Yeah, that's great. Actually, that was going to be my next comment, was to make it more accessible, we need to have a phone number and voicemail, especially for older residents who are not as familiar with Zoom and online, but they, maybe even put like a small ad in the Webster Kirkwood Times or something, or door hangers again that say like, you can call and leave a message, to make it more accessible to people who are not as familiar with technology. That's a great point. But yes, I can help with the message.
Okay.
I also just want to say, for the record here, I want talking points and I will follow the talking points, but none of us know whether we can actually support this yet. So, let's be careful about talking about we're going to go in lockstep for something that we don't even know what exists at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's when you said our level of enthusiasm. I'm not sure where it is at the moment. So it's more about us being open to hearing from the public and evaluating this before we make any sort of decisions. I think that's it. Courtney, the city set you up as an administrator on the Facebook page, right?
Yes.
So you could do that boosting thing, right?
Yes, yeah. It's,
Okay.
if Joanne wants to just, since she's doing the graphic design, if she wants to send a graphic, then I'd be happy to do the posting and boosting.
I got a
Good.
question about that boosting.
Mhm.
Now 63119 also encompasses Rock Hill and other municipalities. Can we pair that information out
Mhm.
or they'll just get the information?
No, they'll actually just do the city of Webster Groves.
Okay,
Great.
Yeah, they've gotten pretty sensitive these days, which is really nice.
good.
Can you also let us know when those boosters, when those
Mhm.
posts are scheduled?
Yes.
Probably all of us, all 7 of us.
She just communicates with me. I can make sure that the message gets emailed out to everyone also.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing that we just have the communication going between Joanne and Courtney, and then Joanne's good about getting stuff out to us. Then
Yeah,
that's a
that's
really
fine.
good way. That's a good system for.
That's fine. I would just like to
relationship.
know because,
Yes.
Facebook is not something I troll regularly. So
Yeah, me neither.
that's
None
very
of us.
smart.
None of us do that.
The more work related it's become, the less fun and social it is. So
That's why I follow you on Instagram, Pam.
yes, that's yeah.
And
They
Courtney,
don't care.
By
that-
administering Facebook, if we see anything that is racist or not in tone, because we're getting that on some other projects lately, like for COVID, we take it down.
Yeah,
Yeah, please.
please.
now Courtney, as you still work on that boost for Facebook, will you update the timeline saying this is completed, implemented, something of that nature?
Mhm.
Okay, great.
And I do have a question back to that schedule. So on the email to stakeholders, and I know that, I just wanted to know, when is the timing? When should that really be done? Because I know that it says write email to stakeholders for city council distribution. Would it be after this town hall, or when would it be actually?
Well, ideally it would be before.
Okay.
I think but it really depends on what they're presenting. Because I think if they're giving another kind of general, vague, if it's going to look like what it looked like before, then I don't know that you necessarily have to boost that much more. But if it's something where you really want to know what's going on and you want people to see it and you want to drive people to the larger process, I think it's important to talk about. But the key is you're also saying, here's where they're going to unveil this. Here's where all the city's information is. Here's where the process is. Here's where the public hearings are. Here's where is the decision points. We need your feedback to make these decisions on whatever they're presenting. But that's where I think it's really important that we know what they're presenting, because if it's just going to be like kind of a milquetoast version of what they've already presented in July, then I'm not as concerned about the council needing to like step out in front of residents immediately. But if they're going to be dropping anything like that will give people a more clear, if it's taking away some of that abstract nature of this, I think that we need to know, and we need to make sure that we're lockstep ahead of that.
Okay.
The item for the stakeholders for city council distribution will determine after the 24th if we need to make a statement to the stakeholders.
Yeah, I would say that like after the 24th, we should definitely have, really be thinking about who are the stakeholders within your district, and that we're starting to keep a tab of who we need to reach out to, who you have on your email list, who is kind of like the folks that are very active, and make sure that, again, they know what the process is. They're aware of what's going on. They know that you're involved and that you're paying attention to what's going on. I think really it's about asserting yourself as a thought leader within this process versus having to be reactive. And, how you kind of package that will depend a lot on what's being presented on the 24th. But ultimately the message should be, we're in charge. We make the decisions with the public's input. Nothing is set in stone. I'm very well aware of what's going on. Come to me with your questions and concerns.
Concerns, yeah.
Yeah.
Good. All right. I think this has been a really good discussion. I know that we've that there's a suggestion about a town hall. I'd like to kind of hang on to that until we see really what they're going to come
Yeah.
up with on the 24th, because we don't know what sort of information we ought to be even talking about at a town hall at this point.
Yeah.
So we can just hang on to that.
So
Agreed.
forgive me, I had a technology failure and switched devices. And it was about the time that Lorna talked about talking points for us. Is that on the to-do list so that we as council members get those talking points either for use slightly before or after the town hall?
Yeah.
Yes, I would like to provide talking points to the council before the town hall.
Okay.
I can provide them as very generically if we can't figure out what the 24th is about, but you will receive talking points at the beginning of next week.
Great.
Right, thank you.
And that will include some ideas for the mayor's remarks, just some bullet points if you want to include it in your remarks. I can also provide a more detailed remarks for you if you would like, Mayor, or you can just
Give me your basic ideas, because
Yeah.
I'm not really good at reading stuff off.
Because as good as the community
and
is about
it's better if
asking
you don't,
questions,
honestly.
yes, they're asking questions during the town hall meetings. I get text on my personal phone.
Yeah, me too.
And then sometimes, I mean, this is not one or two, it's quite a few.
Well, I'll try to
So-
also anticipate some of within those talking points will be sort of anticipated questions. If we can figure out ahead of time what some of this we're going to be seeing, we can anticipate that, but we'll just try to imagine what we're going to hear. A lot of it is what people are giving feedback now because they're kind of already filling in. So one of them was like, are we going to be allowed to put, apartments like that? Like, are we, is there anything to block us? Do we get to vote on it? That's a big one. I'm seeing people, do we get to vote on the redevelopment project? Things like that. So we can have answers for those questions at least.
Yeah, Courtney, I'm concerned about the housing because we've been through that before. We went through that with Crestwood, and it was
Nasty.
it was very nasty, very, very nasty. And Phil at the last town hall open house, he talked about his type of housing that he wants to bring in there, and I think that's going to be a flashpoint for a lot of people, particularly as it relates to the school system, as it relates to race relations, everything.
Yeah.
Well, and frankly, it'll be a flashpoint if there's not some of it there too. I mean, if you look at who has participated so far, we have a lot of people who are really interested in a more diverse set of housing availability. And then we have the people who have organized an opposition who seem to be against that. And so we have to be prepared because it really doesn't matter which they put up there. One side's going to be mad about it.
Yeah.
Well, and I also think there are a lot of financial considerations here too that we haven't really thought through or talked about. And the huge density is a way in which they can afford to pay for all those businesses and buildings that have to be gone and the infrastructure. And so there's a whole lot here that's tied in with the finances that we haven't really stuck our foot into yet. But I think you're right, Lorna. It's that housing piece that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's a code for everything else. It's the code for what they really want to say.
Mm-hmm.
That does remind me, does anyone on the council or mayor have a good relationship with the superintendent?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
we
all do.
Yeah,
We
there
all
are
do.
several.
I would definitely make sure that especially if we can find out if there's going to be discussions, because the superintendent is likely to get emails almost immediately if there's any hint that there's more families coming in. Because I assume just based on the news that you're still a little bit overcrowded in the schools, correct? Is that still?
Actually, we won't be, right, Emerson? After
No.
Steger opens as an elementary, we'll be good.
Yeah, we'll be good. And
Okay.
that should open 2021.
Okay,
That'll
so you want
spread out.
overcrowding is as much a problem. I mean, there still might be kind of like that, like we don't want low income folks or
right.
Minorities moving in, but that may still be couched in it, but at least we don't have to worry about overcrowding, which is good. Because that was a huge deal in Crestwood.
Yeah, we did extensive redistricting of the school district.
Mhm.
Lord knows I don't want to go through that again. I was on that committee, you know, and I think we did a fairly good job. And all of a sudden, we're going to put the redevelopment there, and all of a sudden, boom, this area has a couple of hundred kids, 100 kids, or whatever. So
Well,
we do need to be a partner in that.
and we have to think through, you know, this is a town where people like their single family houses. And if you have, you know, 700 apartments, which is what they were talking about, you know, where are those people going to come from? Well, they really come here and move into a city that really likes its affordable houses that we need more of.
Yeah.
So
Gonna
I don't
say,
know. It's all complicated.
Those same people who like their single family homes don't like their taxes, and they're only gonna stop going up if we have more density. So
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, we can talk
Yeah,
about
exactly.
a lot of
That's
this
a
stuff
long
as
one.
we go along. It's a long ways to go. I think we're in pretty good shape. Yes.
Yeah, I have one other question, Mayor. I just want to make sure I'm clear on the timeline of August 28th. So we have taken care of the first 4 goals already. They're completed.
Well, that's what we're talking through,
Yeah,
and
with-
that's
with
what
some
we're working
updates.
through.
Okay.
Yeah, with
Some
some
updates.
updates and some things, and we're not going to go into the town hall until after we get through the 24th, and we can talk about our next meeting.
Right. I just want to
this
stick a
is-
pin on where we're at so that we'll know where to pick up.
This has really been extremely helpful, I think, for everybody today.
And we'll be able to communicate or gather again to fill in the other 3 folks, council members.
I think maybe we should try to send them a memo and tell them exactly what has happened, and
Yeah.
we've gone through this and we're working well, and we figured out whatever.
Good.
We can talk
Good.
about some of the things that are
Yeah.
going forward in the.
Did Katie send out an email today about something
You
like that?
did say something.
I'm trying to find it.
And I think Joanne,
But yeah,
as our staff person, is that all right with you, Joanne, that you can send something out? And
Of course, I'd be happy to.
good,
just because we said we would do that,
yeah, we should do.
follow up.
You know,
Hey,
Courtney
I-
Katie did something with regard to the closed session on the 23rd at 7:30
Oh, okay.
For the
At
tax
7
bill.
o'clock maybe.
The tax bills, and we can talk because today I just got off of a Zoom with the Muni League folks, and this distribution of CARES Act funding is such a mess. We may have to pass both a resolution and an ordinance with 3 readings before October 2nd. So that's something else too, to get our money. Ah,
Oh my
what a
goodness.
mess.
Well, we've
Yeah.
done 3 readings before at one time, so.
Yeah, and for $1.5 million, we can do 3 readings in one night.
Yeah.
So, could we set a date for getting together again so that we can talk about where we are? And, you know, I guess after the 24th, I don't bring my calendar, but that's all.
Yeah.
See if I can find it.
Could you give us a couple times, because that way, in case one time doesn't work for Zoom, another one might?
Yeah, that's the problem now too, is that we're that's the 24th. Could we look at October 1, 2, 5? Courtney, are you going on vacation?
There.
Lorna?
Okay, yeah, I'm completely open. So
Yeah, I am too. I would say that.
Joanne, is that going to work with you? Like 1, 2, 5, somewhere in that neighborhood?
Anytime in the afternoon on October 1st works. The 2nd is good in the afternoon. And the 5th, I'm available all day.
Okay,
Right.
so
Any of those
Yeah,
days are
mine's
good
pretty
for me
open.
right now, so.
It's not good, Courtney, not on the 5th staff meetings, noon to
Okay.
2.
Oops.
After 2 then.
So how about if we look at October 1st? Does that work for everybody? In the afternoon, like a 2?
Yep, that's good.
Yes, perfect.
Let's set it then.
Yep.
Then we won't be putzing around with that.
We usually don't have, I mean, I could call the city clerk real quick and see if they have something scheduled. Why don't you just let me do that? Let me just see if they have 2 o'clock open, and then we can make sure, put it on our calendar. Do you mind waiting for me just for a second?
Go ahead.
Not at all. I'll review what our deliverables are. So Vector, by early next week, we'll
Can we have
create the talking points
a Zoom meeting?
Mm-hmm.
for
Go ahead.
all of you. We'll also provide verbiage for the hotline to Joan. And Joan will send the graphic and we will put together the Facebook page and keep track of that, monitor
Yes.
that.
Sounds good.
And if we can get the timeline
Okay.
of anticipated,
Yes.
just a general idea of what could be anticipated for working towards a developer agreement, and then connecting to the developer if possible.
Is
Just so
that the
that,
information we're looking for from MAC or somebody from SG?
yeah, somebody,
Right?
I still think it's really important that we have an idea what to anticipate that night.
For the 24th, yeah. And Joanne said she's talked to the developer and we'll see if we can get that. Does the first work?
Yes, at 2 p.m.
Okay, we'll set that on our calendars then. Okay.
And then don't we as council members, we're supposed to go back to the FAQ and make sure we're comfortable with the language and that it's up to date, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's probably more.
You all are not the only people with work to do.
Yeah.
Yes, and anything else too that, we're gonna go back through it based on what the comments that we're seeing coming in right now, and add some additional points. But
Okay.
a lot of that information in there was based on sort of what was at the beginning of the summer and, was the original, request for proposals. Some of that may not ring as true today.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it's really important to take a look at and make sure that that's still how you feel about this project.
Great.
We'll be glad to share that with you. All right. What else? Well, I'm so glad we had this good discussion. This was a good collaboration and
Great.
thumbs up for us working together and moving along.
Great.
Wonderful, wonderful. And Laura, you did a great job on TV the other night.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, you did.
Not exactly
Good.
my comfort zone, but
Yeah.
That was good.
It was
You did a
good.
great
Very
job.
good.
thank you. I
Very
appreciate you
good.
saying.
Great.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
We're on-
All right, thank you
We're on
now.
our way.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.